Ever notice how people only start missing you once you stop caring? It's a twisted little game the world plays. You give and give until your hands are raw and your heart's running on empty. And still, they look at you like you haven't done enough. You chase them like a fool, hoping they'll see your worth. You bend, you break, you drown in silence just to keep them from leaving. But here's the kicker. The more you chase, the faster they run. People don't appreciate loyalty when it's handed to them on a silver platter. They respect distance. They idolize what walks away with its head held high. You show them your heart, and they trample on it. But the moment you disappear without a word, suddenly you're unforgettable. That's how messed up this game is. You think you're doing the right thing by being there for them, answering every text, calling first, checking in even when they couldn't care less if you're alive. But that's not love. That's desperation wearing a smile. And they can smell it. They can smell the fear of losing them all over you, and they feed on it. You're the one begging for scraps while they toss your loyalty aside like yesterday's rubbish. Here's the truth. Respect isn't begged for. It's earned in silence. If you want them to see your worth, stop talking. Stop explaining. Stop showing up like a loyal dog they can kick when they're bored. Pull back. Go cold. Let the silence speak for you. That's when they'll start wondering where you've gone. What people fear most isn't losing love or connection. It's losing access. They want to know you'll always be there, even if they never call, never show up, never ask how you're doing. They want the comfort of knowing they can come back whenever life gets tough and they feel lonely. And as long as you keep that door open, you're just a convenience, not a priority. Ever notice how they respect the ones who don't give a damn? The ones who walk away without a trace and never beg for attention. That's power. Not because they're better than you, but because they understand the rules. You don't earn respect by proving your love. You earn it by showing you don't need theirs. People worship ghosts more than the living. They cry for the ones who left, but spit on the ones who stayed. So stop begging to be seen. Stop kneeling at the feet of people who wouldn't flinch if you vanished. Stand up, shut up, and walk away. And when you do, don't leave a trace. Don't explain. Don't apologize. Just disappear. Let the absence tell your story. You think they'll forget you? Number the mind doesn't forget silence. The heart doesn't heal from unanswered questions. And the ego? Oh, the ego never recovers from being ignored. That's your power. That's your revenge. Not screams, not threats, just distance. Just the sound of their own regret echoing in a room you used to light up. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them understanding. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself dignity. And you sure as hell owe yourself a life that isn't spent chasing people who were never running toward you. You gave too much, didn't you? You gave until there was nothing left but your own bones rattling with the weight of silence. You sat there waiting for a thank you that never came. You sacrificed sleep, pride, sanity, just to be enough. You kept thinking that maybe, just maybe, if you showed them how much you cared, they'd come around. But they didn't. Because the truth is, they don't want your love. They want your weakness. They want the version of you that chases, that cries, that folds like paper every time they pull away. Ever wonder why they only call when they need something? Why they only show up when their little world falls apart? Because they know you'll be there, like a vending machine for comfort. But the second you need something, silence, empty air. They disappear like smoke in a cold alley. That's not love. That's exploitation wrapped in a hug. And you fell for it, didn't you? Over and over. But here's the thing. The moment you stop bleeding for them, the moment you go quiet, you stop trying, you vanish. Suddenly you're cold, you're toxic, you've changed. But what they won't say is that you finally saw through the game. You stopped feeding their ego. You stopped being their emotional doormat. And now they don't like it. Because they don't love you. They love what you gave them. Attention, validation, control. And when you pull that plug, they panic. And that panic, that's your proof. That's your power. That's your reminder that you were never invisible. You were just too available. People respect the ones who ignore them because silence is expensive. The ones who walk away without a word are the ones who hold the cards. That's the power of indifference. It chokes egos. You stop replying and they spiral. You stop chasing and they start wondering. That's how this world works. It's a sick, twisted dance where love isn't love. It's leverage. And the only ones who win are the ones who know when to walk away. But you kept holding on like a dog, begging for scraps under the table of people who never planned on feeding you in the first place. You broke yourself just to keep them whole. You silenced your needs just to keep the peace. But let me ask you, where's that peace now? Where are they now that you're the one drowning? Where's all that loyalty you gave out like candy? Gone. Just like that. So here's what you do. You burn the bridge. Not with rage, not with words, with silence, with distance. You walk away so far, they can't even remember the sound of your voice. And when they come back knocking, don't answer. Not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop settling for half love, fake friendships, and empty promises. And trust me, they will come back. They always do. They always remember the ones who loved them when they didn't deserve it. They remember the ones who stayed quiet when they deserved a war. But by the time they come back, you'll be long gone. not bitter, not angry, just unavailable. And that, my friend, is the sweetest revenge this world has to offer. The moment you stop giving, the moment you stop picking up the phone, stop answering texts, stop trying to fix everything, they suddenly start remembering your worth. Isn't that twisted? You break your back holding them up, and they don't blink. But the second you let go, the second you disappear, boom, they act like they've lost something rare. And they have. But not because of what you gave, because you stopped giving. You were never the background character. You were the whole damn plot. But they didn't see it because you were always there, always showing up, always forgiving, always explaining. You gave them so much. You made yourself small just to fit into their broken little world. And for what? For a maybe? For a breadcrumb? For the illusion of being wanted? Not anymore. People don't miss you when you're quiet. They miss you when you disappear. They don't cry when you're hurt. They cry when you no longer give them access to your pain. Because your pain was useful. Your loyalty was a drug. And you were their favorite fix. Now they're cold, shaken, wondering where you went. And you're not coming back. Don't let anyone guilt trip you for choosing yourself, for pulling the plug. They'll say you've changed, that you've got an ego now, that you don't care like you used to. Of course you don't, because you finally opened your eyes. You finally saw that love isn't proven by how many times you forgive. It's proven by how many times you walk away when your soul's getting drained. You're not heartless. You're tired. There's a difference. You're tired of being the only one who gives a damn. Tired of building bridges with your bare hands while they're setting fires behind your back. Tired of explaining your worth to people who benefit from pretending you don't have any. So let them talk. Let them twist the story. You don't owe anyone a version of yourself that dies every time they need you to survive. You were never weak for wanting love, but you were blind for thinking it had to be earned through suffering, through silence, through endless chances. That's not love, that's slavery, emotional servitude, and it ends tonight. No more explaining, no more chasing, no more texts that go unanswered. No more hoping someone sees you while you're bleeding out in the dark. You stop chasing and watch what happens. They'll start looking. They'll start questioning. Where'd he go? Why isn't he reaching out? Why does it feel so empty now? That silence. It's not just absence. It's punishment. It's truth. It's the echo of every time they ignored you when all you needed was a little care. And it's not just about love or heartbreak. It's about respect. Respect in friendship. Respect in family. Respect in life. You set the tone. You decide the price tag on your soul. If you're selling it for validation, you'll be broke in spirit forever. But if you hold it close, guard it like treasure, you'll only attract those who see the gold, not just the shine. They only remember you when they're alone. Isn't that funny? When they're surrounded by noise, attention, and fake smiles, they forget. They forget the one who stood by them in silence, the one who asked how they were, even when they didn't reply, the one who stayed loyal when there wasn't a single reason to. But the second the lights go off and the crowd disappears, your name echoes in their emptiness. But by then, you should be gone. Long gone. Because here's the dark truth. You were never invisible. You were just too consistent. You were always there, so they thought you'd always be. You made it easy, too easy. You gave them love without conditions. You gave them loyalty like it was free. And that's the mistake. That's the lesson. When something costs nothing, people treat it like nothing. But the moment it's gone, really gone, they realize they were living off your energy the whole time. Ever seen how people treat water when there's a drought? They panic, they beg, they pray for rain. That's you. You were the storm they took for granted, the rain that kept them alive. And now it's dry, and they're learning what it means to thirst. That's the price of ignorance. That's the cost of comfort. Don't let them back in when they come knocking. Oh, they'll come back with shaky hands and cracked voices. They'll act like they just realized your worth. But deep down, they don't miss you. They miss the version of you that let them feel important, that let them use you like a mirror to admire themselves in. And you're not that mirror anymore. You're glass now, sharp, cold, reflecting reality, not illusions. And maybe you're sitting there, still wondering, but what if they change? Let me save you some heartbreak. People don't change unless they lose something they can't replace. And even then, most of them don't change. They adjust just enough to get back what they lost. It's not real. It's survival. They'll pretend to miss you just long enough to get comfortable again. And then it's right back to the same games, same silence, same fake apologies. You're not here to fix people. You're not a rehab for broken souls who can't love without destroying. You're not a second chance dressed in kindness. You're a one-time blessing. And if they couldn't see that when they had you, they damn sure don't deserve to see it now. Respect is earned when you stop showing up where you're not valued. When you walk away with no warning. When you stop explaining yourself to people who only listen to respond. You want them to feel your worth. Disappear. Let the absence fill the room they use to throw your name around in. Let the silence hang over their heads like a ghost they can't forget. And don't look back, not even for a second. Because the moment you do, you reopen the wound. You give them another shot to pretend. And you've bled enough, haven't you? You've carried the weight long enough. Now it's time they carry the silence. Let it eat them alive. You kept handing out pieces of yourself to people who didn't even have the decency to say thank you. And they didn't ask you to give, but they took. Oh, they took. And every time you stayed, they learned they could do it again. And again. And again. Not because they didn't know they were hurting you, but because they knew you'd never leave. That's what you taught them. Every time you forgave without change. Every time you stayed without boundaries. Every time you gave love that didn't come with consequences. But now you're tired. You feel it, don't you? That emptiness that comes after giving too much. That hollow ache in your chest when you realize you're surrounded by people who only know your worth when they need something. That's not depression. That's reality knocking on your skull, saying, "Wake the hell up." You weren't weak for loving hard. You were just blind. Blind to the game. Blind to the way people only value what they fear losing. And you made it too easy. You weren't a challenge. You weren't a mystery. You were the safety net, the emergency exit, the last option when everything else fell apart. And now that you've stepped back, now that you've gone quiet, they're confused. They're wondering why their punching bag isn't swinging back anymore. Let them wonder. Let them drown in it. You gave them every chance to love you right, to treat you like you mattered. But they were too busy feeding their ego to notice the fire in your chest burning out. They didn't care when you were silent. They didn't notice when you were breaking. So now they get nothing. No closure, no messages, no explanations. Just that cold, brutal silence. People always talk about closure, but what they really mean is control. They want to end things on their terms. They want to feel good about leaving you shattered, as long as it's wrapped in polite words and good luck texts. Screw that. You don't owe anyone closure when they couldn't even offer consistency. You don't owe calm to those who gave you chaos. You owe yourself peace. That's it. That's the only closure you'll ever need. And let me be real with you. It's going to hurt. Pulling back, walking away, going cold. It's like ripping off skin you've outgrown. You'll miss them. You'll think about reaching out. You'll wonder if you're being too harsh. But remember this. The pain of loneliness is nothing compared to the pain of being used. At least when you're alone, you're free. Free from lies. Free from fake love. Free from wondering if today's the day they finally treat you right. They won't. They had that chance, and they blew it. And don't expect applause for taking your power back. You'll be the villain in their story. They'll say you changed, that you ghosted, that you're heartless. Let them talk. You're not in the business of explaining yourself to people who only hear what makes them feel right. You're done playing the hero in a story that was never written for your happy ending. You write your own ending now. One where you stop chasing ghosts, where you stop begging to be seen. One where they have to live with the echo of your silence while you walk through hell with your head held high. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only way out. You know what's funny? The way they act shocked when you finally change. Like you flipped a switch overnight. Like your silence came out of nowhere. They don't remember the 100 little betrayals, the ignored messages, the broken promises, the times they laughed at your pain, called you too sensitive, told you to move on while you were still picking up the pieces they shattered. No, they don't remember that part. But the moment you go cold, suddenly you're the villain. Suddenly you're selfish. And that's when you realize they never loved you. They loved the power they had over you. When you were available, they were comfortable. When you were loyal, they were lazy. They knew you'd be there no matter what. And that's the trap. That's the prison. You thought love meant staying, no matter how bad it got. But all it meant to them was that you were easy to replace. Until you weren't. You stop chasing, and the whole game changes. They feel it. That silence. It's a mirror. It forces them to look at who they really are without your presence to distract them. And they hate that, because for the first time, they can't blame you, can't guilt you, can't control you. All they have is the echo of your absence, and that echo doesn't lie. It screams, you lost something real. But let's talk about you for a second. Not the broken version, not the chasing version, the one that's rising now, the one that finally opened their eyes. You need to understand this. You are not hard to love. You were just trying to be loved by the wrong people. People who don't have the emotional depth of a puddle. People who only show up when it's easy. People who can't love you because they don't even love themselves. You tried to water dead plants, kid. You poured your soul into people who had holes in their cups, and then blamed yourself when they stayed empty. But it's not your job to fill them. It's not your job to fix them. Your job is to protect your peace, protect your heart, and stop showing up for people who wouldn't cross the street for you if you were dying in the cold. And now you get to build again. But this time, you build different. You stop explaining yourself. You stop lowering your standards just to feel wanted. You stop letting people rent space in your heart who can't even spell the word loyalty. You walk different now. Head up, shoulders back, eyes forward. And if they can't handle that, let them choke on the dust you leave behind. No more begging, no more waiting, no more hoping they'll change. You've seen enough. You've been through enough, and you sure as hell deserve more. But you don't find more by going back. You find it by walking like you know who the hell you are. And who are you? You're the one that got away. the one they'll never replace, the one they'll talk about in quiet regret at 3 a.m. when the fake love runs out and they're left facing the silence you left behind. They don't deserve to know you anymore. Not the new you, not the version that rose from the wreckage they left behind. They don't get to hear your voice. They don't get to feel your warmth. That was a privilege, and they treated it like it was trash. Like you were some backup plan, a pit stop, a safety net. But you're not a convenience, kid. You're the storm they never saw coming. And now that you've gone quiet, now that you've pulled your soul back from their hands, they're scared. Not because you yelled, not because you cursed, but because you disappeared. And deep down, they know they deserved it. You spent too damn long explaining your worth to people who were never listening. You cried in silence, hoping they'd notice the pain in your eyes. You let them walk all over your kindness, call it weakness, and then mock you when you finally had enough. But here's the thing. You were never weak for staying. You were strong, too strong. So strong that you carried the relationship, the friendship, the connection, all by yourself. You carried it until your back broke, and still, they acted like they were the ones doing the heavy lifting, but not anymore. Now, you walk different. You speak less. You protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. And the moment they realize they can't touch it anymore, that's the moment they finally see its value. Tragic, isn't it? How people only start caring when access gets denied, when the light switch flips off, and they're left standing in the dark, wondering how they fumbled someone who would have done anything for them. Let them wonder. Let them sit with that silence. You don't owe them closure. You don't owe them a damn explanation. Your silence is the consequence. Your absence is the answer. And if that's too much for them to handle, too bad. They should have treated you better when they had the chance. They should have loved you when your heart was open. Not now that your doors are locked and the windows are boarded shut. You owe yourself everything you were begging them to give you. The love, the time, the effort. You were waiting on someone else to show up for you. But the truth is, you were the one you needed all along. That's the cold, hard fact. You're the hero. You're the savior. You're the light at the end of your own damn tunnel. And anyone who can't meet you with that same energy, they don't get a seat at your table. Hell, they don't even get a view. You stop chasing and you start living. You stop waiting and you start growing. And as you grow, they'll shrink. Their voices will get smaller. Their opinions won't sting. Their absence won't ache. You'll stop remembering the sound of their lies and start recognizing the strength in your own voice. This isn't about making them miss you. It's about making you remember who the hell you are. And who you are is not someone who begs to be loved. Not someone who stays where they're barely tolerated. not someone who sacrifices their peace just to be included in someone else's half-hearted story. You're the whole story now. You're the plot twist. You're the one they'll wish they never lost. But it's too late. That chapter's closed. And what's ahead? That's for you to write, with hands that aren't shaking anymore, and a heart that isn't for sale.